It's been a while since we updated the farm build for the Barbarian because we didn't really get many essences to change it that much. However, with the newest essences, I have created a different build that we can use. So let's talk about it. By the way, you can use this build while you are doing bounties, terror rifts, hidden layers, and your regular circle farm. Before we move on, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And if you're feeling a little generous, leave a like as well. As always, I will start with the skills we are using. First, we have Cleave, which is a skill that we never used in a farm build before. To make it useful, we are using the new main hand essence, which conjures a spirit that deals damage to nearby enemies. After that, we have Chain Spear. On this one, we have 3 different essences. One of them is the new chest essence, which works just like the Cleave essence, but this one also pulls enemies to us, so that way we are able to deal damage to them. To enhance this skill even more, we have the offhand that hurls 2 additional spears, and we have the Pants essence that increases our damage by 19% for 3 seconds. And we have one of the signature skills of Barbarian, Wrath of the Berserker. I'm sure you are familiar with this skill already, and as you can guess, we are using Sundered Legacy offhand with it, which causes nearby enemies to burn. And our last skill is Sprint, while this makes us run faster. Plus, we have Shoulders essence with it, which creates Trail of Flames that deals damage. Other than that, I'm using an head essence that leaves tornadoes in our path that deals damage, but you can use another head essence that increases the duration of sprint if you don't have enough cooldown reduction. Don't worry, I will show you every single legendary item in detail after we talk about set items. I was about to forget, but we are using Frenzy as our primary attack with a main hand essence that increases our attack speed. This one might become handy when you are trying to kill purple monsters when you are doing bounties. Now let's check out the set items. For the set items, I'm using 4 pieces of Vitu's Urge and 4 pieces of Banquet of Ice, but you can come with your own set item combination. Build works with most of them, especially if you have decent amount of damage. Now let's move on to legendary items. For the headpiece, I'm using Spirit Breaker, which leaves tornadoes in our path that deals damage to any enemies they strike. But if you don't have an awakened spot to decrease the cooldown of sprint, you can go with Second Breath, which increases the duration of the sprint. That way you can have 100% uptime on it. For the chest, we have one of the new essences called Shackled Fate. Chained Spear now conjures a Spirit of the Ancients for 5 seconds, that repeatedly casts Chained Spear, dealing damage to enemies while also slowing their movement speed and pulling them in. For the shoulders, we have one of the must-have essences of Barbarian farm builds, Hell's Legacy. Sprint also leaves a trail of flames, dealing damage to enemies over 4 seconds. For the pants, we have Buried Talons. Chain Spear also increases your damage by 19% for 3 seconds. And for the first main hand, we have Borrowed Might. Cleave now grants you the power of the Ancients for 5 seconds, periodically conjuring a Spirit of the Ancients to cleave through nearby enemies. For the second one, we have Riddleroo. When Frenzy deals a critical hit, your attack speed is increased by 50% for 3.2 seconds. This one might become handy when you are trying to kill purple monsters when you are doing bounties. For the first offhand, we have Obin's Many Fingers. Chain Spear hurls 2 additional spears. And lastly, for the second offhand, we have Sundered Legacy. Wrath of the Berserker now causes nearby enemies to burn. Well, that's all you need to know about legendary items. Now let's talk about some other details. I think cursed or ancestral properties don't matter for this build, so you don't have to mess up your current setup. And for the Paragon tree, you can use Treasure Hunter for extra scrap and dust, or you can go with Warden to move around a little bit faster. Other than that, you don't really need specific legendary gems, but some of them makes farming a little bit more fun. For example, if you don't have Void Spark, you might to try one at least as an auxiliary gem, which works perfect, I know, since I'm doing the same. Other than that, Roiling Consequence and Ignis Scorn are pretty good as well. I mean, I'm not going to name the must-have gems like Blood-Soaked Jade, Bottled Hope or Pain Clasp. I think I already talked much more than it is needed about legendary gems for this build. Basically, you can just use whatever you have right now and you will be fine. And that's all. I hope you enjoyed the build. Thanks for tuning in and take care.